Today I have the honor to reintroduce you to Larry Charles, better known as my grandpa. Born May 12, 1928, husband to Deborah, father of 2 daughters, and grandfather of 2 grandsons, friend and storyteller. We are here today to remember the life and legacy he lives on this earth. I would like to reflect on the person my grandpa was. I could stand here for the better part of the day and reminisce about all the stories my grandpa either was a part of or he told us. For those who knew my grandpa, you understood how long these stories would be. We will cover some of those, but overall, I would like to remember the person my grandpa was and what he has done for everyone he met. Grandpa was above all else a family man, followed by very closely a storyteller. He had the ability to have a witty comeback for almost any conversation. Something that he definitely passed on to everyone in the family. He never knew what little pun he had just waiting for the conversation, but you knew there would be one, followed by that smile. And laugh, just knew he loved to show off. Family man is a term that's not appreciated nearly enough these days. Today there is more emphasis put on who we are and what we accomplish. Grandpa though was the epitome of how great and unselfish it is to put those family first. Grandma and Grandpa never asked too much. They drove plain, simple vehicles, lived in modest homes, and never took anything in life for granted. Grandpa put everyone in the family first. Grandpa was also a very devoted husband to his wife. He used to take her to the mall every Sunday just to walk around and hold hands and buy my grandma a new piece of jewelry at JCPenney's. I don't honestly know if I ever really saw one without the other. I just like going to their house. If you come to the door, chances are they'll be right there standing together. Grandpa at the head of the table and Grandma to the right. They had a life together that was inspirational. Sure through the years, I'm sure there were issues they had to work through. No matter the issue, they made most of their lives together. Even these past few days, we love to see Grandpa's eyes for the man he went through life with was nothing short of amazing. Grandpa hanging on to allow Grandma time to smile at him and gently hold her hand one day longer. We can all learn from them, and our time together is short. Even 43 years together is barely a blimp of the rim of the world. Some say it's what we leave on this earth that shows what you did with your life. What Grandpa was able to help me see is much more important to grow old with style and dignity and give everything you can to the people you love. Now, Grandpa would likely state how difficult it was in his golden years. Hard breath, coughing, those 3 deep coughs in a row over and over that made you think a lung would split right onto the table. Yes, the amount of bee pollen pills were going to make him feel better, but of course he did it. Grandpa grew old with dignity because he kept his wife happy. He used to chauffeur Grandma and his sisters around like they were rock stars. It was always funny. When he stopped at work with them, he had the biggest grin on his face. Grandpa made sure Grandma was happy. That is something that we should all take pride in. It was never about individual accomplishment with him. It was always about their life together. I would never say I was the closest in the family with Grandpa or the best grandkid, but I would say there is no one else in the world I would want to have as my grandpa. He taught all of us in the family what it meant to do an honest day at work. I can remember as a youngster playing outside on Saturday and Sunday watching my grandpa doing yard work with my grandma. Work had to be done. If there was time, it needed to be taken care of. He was not one to sit still long, whether it was Sawstone or later in his career driving his single axle truck. He was proud. He made sure he did his job. As a side note, Grandpa was a perfectionist that he would drive us non-professionals absolutely crazy. Loading Grandpa's truck was an art form, and if you had something a little out of place, he made sure you knew it. Remember this man who likely did not realize how big deal it was to have took and risk made a decision and affected thousands of people. Yet I stand here to tell you the decision was not nearly as significant for everyone here as a decision. He made love and care for his family. I know one thing for sure, Grandpa would always have my back.